When Lily Phillips got baptised, the internet treated it like some sort of a finale. For some viewers, they saw this as a redemption arc, a public turning point, a moment of proper spiritual awakening. For others, it was immediately controversial. It was confusing and it sparked a lot of suspicion. And in my previous video, we broke down the baptism itself, the reaction regarding the baptism, the emotional weight that people really projected onto it, and why it sparked such an intense debate to begin with. And what's really interesting is this: the baptism was not the end of the story. It was the beginning of a really harsh bit of backlash, because in the weeks that followed, the narrative didn't move towards any sort of reflection or change or clarity. Instead, it moved towards contradiction.
Yes,
Didn't actually get baptised
yourself.
though? Didn't you get baptised?
Yeah.
So, do you not feel potential guilt though for getting that many men sleeping with you?
She doesn't see a problem with it.
You know, I'm not a perfect man. Like, only God can judge everyone in it. But like, I'm just saying, like, does that give you a bit of guilt?
No. Because as well, like, I'm not a traditional Christian, definitely not.
You don't believe in God?
No.
Are you like atheist?
I don't know, I'm not bothered.
Do you believe in the higher power though?
Yeah, I believe that there's something out there. Well, I believe in like manifestation, that like something is meant for us and, you know, you're here for a meaning and things like that.
You work towards it.
Yeah.
The promotion of some very explicit and extreme adult content, shock-based marketing escalated, and rather than answering questions, Lily's post-baptism behaviour raised even more questions and eyebrows. I don't want this video to be about policing faith or bashing adult work. I don't want to be doing that. And I really don't want it to be about who is and who isn't allowed to support God or any religion. They are complex conversations. They are deeply personal, but I think this is about patterns, and I really want to talk about this in detail. It's about how belief and identity and controversy can really be packaged into content. It's about whether spirituality is being lived or is it being used as a leverage, and what happens when these really deeply meaningful conversations like pregnancy, like faith, like health and morality become just another form of engagement bait, because when everything is becoming content and nothing is sacred. And I think that has some really bad consequences, especially for the really young and impressionable viewers watching from the sidelines. In the aftermath of Lily Phillips's baptism, we are asking, can someone openly engage in adult behaviours and work while publicly sharing religious beliefs? And what can authenticity look like in that space? At what point does contradiction turn into performance? And how do repeated shock value tactics such as faking pregnancies or this baptism can reshape trust between a creator and their audience? I am not trying to condemn Lily Phillips, but I think this is coming from a really harsh area of concern, and to understand why this aftermath feels so deeply unsettling for some, we have to look at what came before, not just the baptism, but the pattern of attention-driven moments that really contextualize it. Before we get into it, please make sure to subscribe down below. We are on the road to 1,000 subs, and I would love to have you as part of that journey. Let's get into this awful mess. I think one of the really biggest questions to come out of this whole Lily Phillips baptism situation isn't even necessarily about Lily alone. I think it is kind of, can someone perform in adult content and then be openly and authentically still holding those religious beliefs? I think the honest answer is yes. I don't think faith is a reward for moral perfection. Belief is personal, it's evolving, and it is often something messy. Many religious traditions do really focus on human contradiction, struggle, and imperfections. None of us are perfect. So the idea that someone must immediately abandon adult work, adult content, or really any controversial practices in order to believe in God, I think is somewhat inaccurate.
Just people who have their opinion on it, who think I cannot be a Christian if I do this line of work. Yeah, they don't really understand the kind of message I'm trying to put out. I want to have more of a conversation on OnlyFans girls and them having like interests outside of just like doing OnlyFans. You know, I feel like us OnlyFans girls were so pigeonholed into, this is the one thing about us, this is the only interesting thing about us, and like that's all we are, all we will ever be.
I think I really want to say that up front. I do think they can coexist. This isn't about bashing either side. It's not about gatekeeping religion, and it's really not about demanding purity from creators who really never promised it anyway. But I think the Lily Phillips situation becomes a lot more complicated. I think the discomfort that many people are feeling isn't rooted entirely in what she does. It's how the belief itself is being presented. Authentic faith, even when it's imperfect, usually comes with some sort of inner wrestling, reflection, or transparency. I think what people expected after the baptism wasn't necessarily an overnight change, but some sort of intent. I think what instead happened was it felt like business as usual but amplified. Within weeks of being rebaptised, Lily was promoting increasingly extreme content, including material explicitly framed for shock content. For many viewers, including those who are not religious at all, raised a question that is really hard to ignore. If the baptism wasn't about change or growth or inner reflection, then what was it about? And that is really where skepticism is entering, because when faith is kind of introduced to that content ecosystem built on provoking people and virality, it becomes really hard to understand where the belief ends and begins and where the content begins.
Video of Lily Phillips being baptized, and I was really glad. I mean, this is a woman who slept with 1,000 men in a day. She bragged about it. She asked men to come and audition to film that kind of content. She has an OnlyFans, and literally her life embodies the depths of human sexual degeneracy, and she's very proud about it. When I saw it, I was very happy, because I mean, the kingdom of God is not exclusive to anyone. We are happy that people join us no matter what their past is. However, I checked the link on her bio and I still saw her OnlyFans there. Her page is basically the same, the way it used to be before she got baptized. And I'm thinking to myself, although a lot of people are very critical of women who have an explorative or degenerate sexual past coming into church because they feel like they're just playing the game, I don't like to take that approach. But I think I'm beginning to believe, because tell me why she got baptized but nothing has changed.
Especially when there's really no acknowledgement of tension or of any of these questions. There's been no moment where Lily is saying she's figuring it out, or that she's conflicted, or that she just doesn't even know exactly what she wants. Instead, there are two very different personalities. We have something with devout symbolism and then something with explicit monetization, and there is no seeming bridge between those two. And for some people that is completely fine, and for others they are asking a lot of questions. Not because I don't think that adult content and religion can't coexist, but because certainty really replaces honest ambiguity. And I think ambiguity is where the real belief really lies. I think what makes this conversation even more difficult has been the videos resurfacing of Lily's views on religion.
Believe that there's a heaven after we die?
No, not at all. I think we've already not been alive, so why do we expect an afterlife?
Okay, do you think there's a God?
No.
No, okay.
I do believe in a higher power, but not God.
Alright, so the Big Bang. Wouldn't that need some sort of creator for it?
No, I think just a huge, what are they called? An asteroid came into the Earth.
Alright, now what do you think of Jesus?
Jesus, I mean, you know what? I leave everyone to believe what they believe in, and I respect that.
That's fine.
But it's not something I personally believe in.
You don't believe in God?
No.
Are you like atheist?
I don't know. I'm not bothered.
I'm not bothered. It's the craziest way to answer that. So you believe in a higher power though?
Yeah, I believe that there's something out there. Well, I believe in like manifestation, that like something is meant for us, and you know, you're here for a meaning and things like that.
You work towards it.
Yeah.
You don't believe in like manifesting bad things?
What if you put it onto the universe?
Yeah,
Definitely.
well, this being like a bad thing and like doing it and then...
No, because I'm like a glass half full kind of girl.
There are old videos where she has openly dismissed any belief in God, instead grounding her worldly view on skepticism and science. Of course, people change, that's expected and that's normal. But I think when such a dramatic shift has happened so publicly, without really any explanation, and then you pair that right alongside the escalating shock-based content, audiences are naturally starting to ask questions. I don't think that all the questions are necessarily cruel. I don't think all of them are necessarily judgmental, but I think some of them are reasonable ones. And of course, when a lot of those questions are going unanswered, people are filling in the blanks themselves. And this is showing a really damaging pattern for Lily, because the baptism isn't something that exists on its own for Lily. There has been multiple moments where Lily has used some really sensitive topics to gain attention.
For me, that isn't like my proudest moment looking back. I think when you are just like constantly evolving and learning on the job, you do make mistakes, and it's awkward for me because that mistake is like in the public eye, and I didn't realise how much effect it would have on women and like really deep down like what I was kind of putting out there.
That really makes it all feel calculated rather than confusion or something that was a mistake. When people say that they feel like this is a publicity stunt, I don't think they're necessarily pulling that reaction out of thin air. I think it's a really justified response. They are responding to a pattern. The baptism backlash didn't just exist on its own. It landed on an audience that really remembered some of Lily's previous controversies and remembered moments where Lily heavily manufactured controversy. And once viewers really started connecting the dots, the narrative really changes from confusing to calculated. I think one of the most cited examples that keeps coming up is the fake pregnancy announcement. Pregnancy isn't just another headline, it is a deeply emotional subject tied to fertility struggles, to miscarriage, to reproductive rights, and really bodily autonomy. When Lily publicly implied that she was pregnant, only for it to be later revealed as false, many viewers felt something snap. Not outrage, but betrayal.
Firstly, when she faked her pregnancy, there was outrage. And rightly so. So many people struggle to get pregnant, can't have kids, and then you have someone lying and wearing a fake baby bump telling the world that they're expecting. Perhaps not so coincidentally, the announcement came when there were false rumours, that Bonnie Blue was expecting.
Because it wasn't edgy, it wasn't like some sort of provocation art, it was emotional manipulation. And it set a really dangerous tone that deeply sensitive personal experiences could be used as engagement tools. So when the baptism happened, people didn't just see it as a religious moment. They saw another potential chapter in an engagement playbook, introduce a shocking, emotionally charged topic, allow speculation and debate to spiral, offer little to no clarification, move on to the next viral moment, and this cycle keeps happening. And the skepticism then with this conversation came so quickly because it was expected. Add this then to Lily's past statements about religion, where she openly dismissed any belief in God and positioned science as her framework of belief and understanding the world. And then looking at the baptism, it felt like some sort of narrative whiplash rather than something really genuine. Again, people are allowed to change, but change without explanation, reflection, or acknowledgement doesn't feel like growth. It feels like a content strategy, particularly when we look at Lily as a person. And the aftermath only reinforced that belief. Just weeks after being rebaptised, Lily was promoting some increasingly explicit adult material. For critics, this wasn't really about a moral inconsistency, it was about timing. The religious imagery hadn't really even settled before it was overshadowed by the next part of provocation. For many viewers, they stopped asking, is this sincere, but more so, what will be the next thing that she uses? Because once pregnancy and religion and identity become props, nothing feels off limits anymore. And that's where the conversation does shift from just Lily to, in fact, the whole creator economy itself. When attention equals income, shock does become currency. Escalation is becoming some sort of survival. And those deeply human experiences, like belief, like health, like reproduction, become tools rather than truths, which leads us to a really uncomfortable part of this story. It isn't just about Lily, it isn't about her content, but the impact of this kind of strategy, especially on the people watching. At some point, this has to stop just being about Lily Phillips, because really what is on display here is when content culture is rewarding escalation over integrity. We are living in an era where attention is currency, outrage is fuel, and algorithms don't really care why people are watching, only that they are. In that environment, content creators are constantly incentivized to push further, to shock more, and blur lines that probably shouldn't have ever been blurred in the first place. Nothing is off limits anymore. And I think that's where disappointment is coming in, not really anger, but disappointment. Because when creators are constantly leaning into shock value content, faking pregnancies, hinting at health scares, performing these sudden religion conversions, it teaches audiences, especially those younger viewers, a dangerous lesson, that nothing is real unless it is monetized, and nothing is sacred until it becomes clickable. This matters a lot more than we are also willing to admit. Many of them are still forming their understanding of life, of morality, of faith or sexuality or self-worth, when they are seeing these content creators using very serious topics as just some sort of interchangeable content arc. I think it can really distort the sense of belief in what should be there and how you should feel about yourself and the world around you. Faith is becoming an aesthetic, pregnancy is becoming bait, crisis is becoming branding. And when those moments are just ignored without explanation, it sends another message that you don't owe your audience honesty, just engagement. And that erosion of trust isn't just affecting then that one creator, it is affecting how an audience views these content creators as a whole. And I think really what one of the most troubling things is also teaching young people that the loudest voice wins, not necessarily the most thoughtful one. I think this is where the Lily Phillips situation feels the most unsettling. I don't think it's that she's exploring faith or is appearing to be exploring faith. That alone isn't an issue. It's that the faith itself appeared briefly, dramatically, and then vanished just into nowhere, and really no reflection on why it happened or why it matters. And realistically speaking, it does look like she did it for attention, so that when she promotes her next material, she has eyes on her. And that's the real aftermath of this baptism situation. It's not backlash, it's not debate, it is literal erosion at the situation. Erosion of meaning, erosion of trust, erosion of the idea that content creators might just treat something as more than content. If this is the trajectory, then where does this lead? Looking at everything that's happened since Lily Phillips's baptism, the pattern is clear. This isn't just about one controversial moment. It's about a broader trend in content creation where shock and speculation often overshadow reflection or integrity and being authentic online. The baptism in theory could have really been a turning point. I think a lot of people wanted to give her a really big benefit of the doubt. You know, it was really a chance to show growth or at least some sort of nuanced explanation of faith. Instead, I think it has sadly just become another chapter in this pattern, using deeply meaningful or sensitive topics to then spark outrage and attention. For young viewers especially, the stakes are high. Watching someone leverage religion and pregnancy as a spectacle teaches the wrong lessons about trust, about morality, and really the value of human experience. I don't really want to fully shame Lily Phillips, but I think there really needs to be a larger question on what responsibility do these content creators have over their audience and communities. And that's why I think revisiting this baptism situation is really important, and it's why I really wanted to talk about it in the last video as well. It isn't just a headline moment, it is really bringing up a lot of questions about the content creator space in general, and how some of these adult content creators are really shaping their headlines at the moment. So what do you think? Do you think the hate is justified? Do you think they should be allowed to use these very deeply sensitive topics as kind of an attention starter? Do you think she is genuine about her religion and just the promoting of the adult content is coming at the same time? Is that something we can really look into or judge? I don't think the timing looks great, and I think some people really wanted Lily to be genuine in this scenario, and I just don't think that's showing through. I think a lot of people expect it kind of with the Bonnie Blue stuff, and I think Lily Phillips in general, a lot of people were a bit more careful in what they said around her. I think with Bonnie Blue, a lot of people were very quick to criticise, which I think sometimes is rightly so. But with Lily Phillips, I feel like some people were thinking she had a lot better intentions, and I think she is now showing a lot of things that is short of just showing a same pattern as what Bonnie Blue is doing, and I think that is very deeply unsettling. If you did enjoy this video, please click subscribe down below. I do lots of different videos like this, and we are on the road to 1,000 subscribers, so please join along on that journey, and let's get there soon, I hope. This whole situation with Lily is unsettling. I think we should really try and give creators some benefit of the doubt, or just allow room for questions. But I fear that the more we are seeing of this situation, it's seemingly amplifying the doubt that we all share. It doesn't feel genuine. It just feels like it's manufactured for maximum shock value? Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.